Hello and welcome to the Martin Lucas Investors Extra channel. My name is Sensei Crypto and I will be doing the show for you guys. This is the Tesla earnings. We are about, show you here, we're about 1 hour away from the earnings call. We're here early to do some charts, answer your questions, and tune into Martin and get prepared for the show. Martin is currently doing the end phase earnings, which is starting around now. He's doing that on the main channel. So if you did want to tune into that, that will be on the main channel. You can switch between both of us. But today we're doing the Tesla earnings. We are currently about 6% up on Tesla, so we have had some good news on the Tesla earnings. We're just waiting for that to come through, and we'll look into that. But yes, we are currently 58 minutes away from the earnings. So welcome in everyone. Let's make sure everything's running smoothly. We do have a 1 hour to be prepared, and let's have a look at Martin's. But yes, we are currently 58 minutes away from. Let me just make sure that's okay.
Andy Yang, our Chief Financial Officer, and Raghu Belur, our Chief Products Officer. After the market closed today, Enphase issued a press release announcing the results for its first quarter ended March 31st, 2024.
Do leave your questions in the live chat. I will be looking
during this conference call, Enphase
the live stream. We are just about an hour away from the earnings, so I'm happy to answer any questions before.
Market trends, the capabilities of our technology and products, and the benefits to homeowners and installers, our operations including manufacturing, customer service, and supply and demand, anticipated growth in existing and new markets, the timing of new product introductions, and regulatory and tax matters. These forward-looking statements involve significant risks and uncertainties, and our actual results and the timing of
any questions before? Okay, so let's have a look at the chart. Tesla is moving up. We are up currently 6.23% on Tesla. And if we zoom out, this is not including this is including the after hours data, but if I go into the daily time frame, you can no longer see the after hours data. What you can see here is that the trend of Tesla, which has just been to the downside. We have been identifying these lower highs all the way from 2021. We identified this trend quite early on. I'd say by the 30th of March 2022, we were out this stock because it gave us the third lowest high. The trend continued to downside. We had our capitulation at $100. We had our move back up, parallel channel to the downside, new lower highs. And what we're looking now is trying to identify a bottom. Was that bottom at 150 or just below 144? That was one potential buying zone, and the next one is at $126. So we're trying to figure out, is that the final buying zone, the $150, the $144 we've seen, or I think we saw as low as $138. Our first buying zone was $150. Our next buying zone is at $125. We've hit the first buy zone. After today's earnings, we can make a decision and see if we're going to hit our second buy zone at $126, and then our recession lows that we're looking for is even potentially a $90 and $58 Tesla. That's worst case scenario. I would be buying in from the $150 level, which is where we are today after the earnings has been announced. So let's go to your questions for today. This channel is much better than the main one. I agree. Why would you be watching Enphase with Martin when you can be watching Tesla and the charts with me? Much better here. I think Martin is showing the chart for Enphase, but I'm not sure if he's got the correct chart right now. So Martin's not a chart guy, so let's put the correct chart for you guys, including the after hours, which would be this chart here. So we can see Enphase has dropped. It is down 9.68%. It got, you see this area here was resistance. We've got rejected from the resistance, perfectly down. And if we zoom out, sorry about the camera. If we zoom out, we can have it. What's going on there? Something wrong with the camera, but do excuse me. You don't care about my face anyway. It's all about the charts here. If you zoom out, this was our first sort of buy-in slash turned into resistance, and we did hit our second buy-in zone of $80 for end phase, and now we're just below resistance. So let's see how we react after today's earnings. But end phase unfortunately isn't looking that great compared to the other stocks. My buy-in zone was around $80, and I'm happy with that position there. I do believe. Let's have a look at it again. If you haven't already, please do hit the like button. We're very, very, very low on likes, so please do get that up. If we do hit 100 likes, I will be donating $100 to charity. Probably Zach Zates. No, so sorry, not Zach Zates. Zach. What's his second name? Zach. I don't know his second name, but Zach Okotari. He's our charity partner in Uganda who does a lot of amazing charity work. So if we hit 100 likes, I will be donating $100 to the charity in Africa, which helps provide safe drinking water to lots of communities, educational products, so on and so forth. We're going to look at this as well. We have gone live a little bit early. I did think this earnings was going to be starting now, but this is our timeline for the earnings, 53 minutes. So we have a lot of time to either watch Martyn's stream or be answering your questions. Not sure what's going on with my cameras, but I'm not even sure what that white line is there. But we're looking at the questions. This channel's much better. Look at Martyn Stock. We did that. Vaz, good evening. Sensei, James is always here. Thanks, James, for being here. Crag is here. Good evening, gang. Good evening to you, Crag. Sensei and Tesla earnings numero uno. Thank you, James. I do love Tesla. I did get into Tesla around, in today's price, I'll show you in a second, but I think in today's price it was around the $10 mark, somewhere around there. I'll show you on the chart in a little bit. Martyn is saying I have more people. Yes, that's because you took the main channel, Martyn. You just won't give me your main channel, will you? Crack is here. Hey, James, hit the like button. Do it now if we need 100 likes. Yes, we do. Thank you, James. Let me show you the Tesla chart and exactly where I bought into the stock. It was 2019. These earnings calls are really important. For example, I was following Tesla all the way back here into 2018. So I guess it's between $10 and $20. I was buying this stock. I remember the 2019 drop. That was a great place to be buying. And then the COVID drop, I didn't buy anymore because don't know what's going on with that camera, but do excuse that. I didn't buy it. What is going on? So strange. I don't know if I should. There's nothing I can really do about that. What should I do? Why is that coming in and out? Anyway, these earnings calls are quite important because you learn a lot about the company, as you did back then. They're less important now that Tesla's gone up so much. You're not really going to see a 10x from Tesla. I think my long-term price prediction on Tesla is $1,000. But back then it was really important to see the growth of the company. We do have the questions that the investors are asking. I'll show you here. The first question from the Say platform, which is something great they do. They listen to the investors and put the questions that are voted the highest to the audience. We have the first question: what is the current status of Optimus? Of course, that's the autonomous robot. Are they currently performing any factory tasks? When do you expect to start mass production? Interesting question. That is number one voted. That's 4.7 million Tesla shares is represented with that question. The next question is, what is the status of 4680 cells? What is the current output? I think that's talking about the battery cells. The next question will be, what is Tesla's current assessment of the pathway towards regulatory approval for unsupervised FSD in the US, and how should we think about the appropriate safety threshold compared to human drivers? boring question. That's asked by the institutional investors. Another retail question. Can we get an official announcement and timeline of the £25,000 vehicle? That is the next real big thing for me for Tesla. I would love to hear what they have to say about that. We've got the next question of, have any of the legacy auto car makers contacted Tesla about possible licensing full self-driving in the future? That would be interesting. Following Tesla's robotaxi unveil on the 8th of the 8th, what is the realistic timeline for launching a revenue-generating robotaxi network? That's the $1 million question, isn't it? That's what Tesla's all about right now. That's what they're relying on. Which is sort of an issue because there's going to be a lot of regulatory backlash. It's not going to be approved anywhere else apart from the US for a long time. And Elon Musk is really basing everything on that, which is sort of the only issue I see for Tesla right now. It's all about the robotaxis. Of course, if they all become online, it's a great money generator. However, he's been saying next year for the last 4 or 5 years. So next question is, what is the progress on the Cybertruck ramp up? Of course, again, they brought the Cybertruck out, a great car, but they're going to have issues ramping it up, just like they did with the Model 3. And if they had massive issues with the Model 3 back then, this car is 10, 20, 30, 100 times harder to produce. So there will be a problem with the ramp up, and it's not going to be as quick as people expect. What is the progress with the cheaper next generation vehicle? There's already been this question. So they won't answer that again. They probably won't get down to these questions. I don't think they'll be able to answer all of them. What is the timeline for scaling the semi? So that's the semi truck. That'll be exciting as well. We've then got, can we make full self-driving transfer permanent? What is the timeline for the release of the Tesla robot? So these questions are they're not going to be answered. What is gating the production ramp at Lathrop? Where do you see them Pack run rate by the end of the year? That's interesting. I'd like to know about their battery storage solutions. What specifically is delaying the factory in Mexico? Another good question. What is the Tesla's main priorities and focus going to be into next quarter? And they're not going to get as far down in the questions. Let's see, 47 minutes. So Martyn has sent us very, very early. He was a bit. I think we were supposed to be live an hour ago, but thank goodness we didn't. Otherwise, I'd be very, very tired by the end of it. It is currently nearly 10 o'clock in the UK. I've had a very long day. I don't feel too well, but I enjoy the Tesla earnings, and I'm always happy to be here on the show. Let's have a look at your questions. Not sure what's going on with that camera. We're going to have to ignore that. And I don't know why there's a white bar there either. What is going on? It's not the Sunday show. Let's ignore those little things going wrong and have a look at these questions. Pre-earnings up 6%. Yes, we're up 7% now. 1.8% in the after hours. We're actually up 7% in the after hours, 2% in the during the trading hours today. Let's see if that will drop. It might drop. Yes. James 007, if I do well with Tesla stock in the coming years, I'm going to use the profit to put towards a Tesla bot in the future when released. I want a Tesla bot. I want a Tesla bot. But as for anything that's really cool, don't bother getting the first one. It still might be brilliant, but the second one is what's cheaper, 10 times better. Same with the Vision Pros. I love the idea of the Vision Pros, but too expensive and not good, as in not worth the money at all. So VAS but the Tesla bot 20 times cooler than the Vision Pros. The Apple headset, that's what I'm talking about. VAS says Cybertruck has one massive downside, and it can't be sold in the European market due to regulations and pedestrian safety. It has got 2 sheer edges. Yes, that is true. It's also too big, isn't it? Imagine driving that in England. That wouldn't work. Stacey Bailey, do any of our members actually drive a Tesla? Lol. Hope you feel better. Thank you, Stacey. You always pick up on the things. Yes, I hope I feel better too. Thank you for that. Does anyone drive a Tesla? That's Stacey's question. I'd love to drive a Tesla. I think the tech in it is really cool, but it's just a bit of a boring car, isn't it? In the UK, it's too expensive. If I was in the US in a good state with the tax relief, being able to buy a Model 3 for $25,000, $30,000, £23,000, that's brilliant. That is really, really good price for a car. But in the UK, unfortunately, a Model 3 sets you back nearly £40,000. So it's about $50,000. So not brilliant in the UK. So Tesla is now up 7.76%. If you have just tuned in, if we do get 100 likes, I will be giving $100 to charity. So it just takes a second of your time, and it can save lives. So we are now up 7.8%. This is the 5-minute chart. Every candle represents 5 minutes, and we are pushing higher. Let's see if we can get any news on Tesla stock. You're going to have to ignore that camera issue. I do apologize. Tesla reported revenue of 21.3 billion with an earnings per share of 0.45. I think what was expected was 0.49. So they actually missed on earnings, but the stock doesn't care. So they missed on revenue. They were expecting 22.3 and they got 21.3. Yeah, so they missed on earnings. Let's have a look at this. Artificial intelligence software and hardware. We have been investing in the hardware and the software systems necessary to achieve vehicle autonomy and a ride-hailing service. We believe a scalable and profitable autonomy business can be realized through a vision-only architecture with an end-to-end neural networks trained on billions of miles of real-world data. Since the launch of FSD, supervised version 12 earlier this year, it has become clear that the architecture long pursued by Tesla is the right solution for scalable autonomy. To further improve our end-to-end training capability, we will continue to increase our core AI infrastructure capacity in the coming months. In Q1, we completed the transition to hardware 4.0, our latest in-vehicle computer with an increased inference processing power and improved cameras, vehicle and other software. We rolled out full self-driving supervised with a 30-day free trial to eligible car users in the US and Canada. Full self-driving supervised can change lanes, select forks to follow routes, navigate around vehicles and objects, and make turns. We released Autopark to existing eligible FSD and enhanced Autopilot customers. We are currently working on here we go. This is what's important. We are currently working on ride-hailing functionality that will be available in the future. This is important. Robotaxis. We are currently working on this. Could be the reason the stock has popped 8%. This sentence here. We are currently working on ride-hailing functionality that will be available in the future. We believe that Tesla software experience is best in class around all our products, and the plan to seamlessly layer ride hauling into the Tesla app. That is what's important. That's what Elon Musk keeps pressing on. That's what's going to make the money, and that's what's moved the stock. Don't care about the battery. Let's go back to the timer. 40 minutes. Again, not sure what's going on with the camera. I don't own a Tesla, and I've never been in one. I've been in a few Teslas. Very cool. Very, very simplistic. Just try and order Ubers, James, and get the electric Ubers, and sometimes they're Teslas. Stacey Bailey mines a lifted 3,500. HD, Dudley, diesel, far from a Tesla, I'm afraid. Yes, two ends of the spectrum. A monster truck sounds good, Stacey. Driving a Tesla would be weird, especially for you. I would choose a lifted monster truck over a Tesla. I think we have to, while we can, um, buy those petrol guzzling cars before we are forced to buy electric cars. Here we go. Tesla is really moving now. We are up on the after hours 9%. Virgin Galactic, who bought on Sunday, who bought on Monday when we dropped. I said Monday would be a nice time to buy. And since that bottom, I know people might not have got the bottom, but since the bottom, it's about 26%. So that's very nice to see. It is dropping in the after hours, down 3.5%. Let's see what Martyn is doing on his show.
GAAP gross margin was 43.9% for Q1. Non-GAAP gross margin without net IRA benefit for Q1 was 41%, compared to 41.8% in Q4, mainly driven by lower volume. GAAP and non-GAAP gross margin for Q1 included $13.7 million of net IRA benefit. Non-GAAP operating expenses were $82.6 million for Q1, compared to $86.6 million for Q4. The decrease was the result of the restructuring plan we implemented in December 2023. GAAP operating expenses were $144.6 million for Q1, compared to $156.9 million for Q4. GAAP operating expenses for Q1 included $56.7 million of stock-based compensation expenses.
Martyn is doing the Enphase earnings report. They are live, they're already listening in,
and $1.9 million of restructuring
and the stock is down 5%
charges.
for Enphase.
On a non-GAAP basis, income from operations for Q1.
Can't understand what's going on there, so let's go back to our stocks. Let's have a look at some other stocks while we wait for the Tesla earnings. And let's also check how many people are with us. We have got, let's go and have a look, 11 likes, 35 watching. Please do hit the like button. If we get 100 likes, I'm donating $100 to charity, and I make not a single penny for any of the live streams I do. I just want to give back to the community and to charity. So if you can just hit the like button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Okay, so SBC, we said buy, it's up 22% today. DYDX has very close to our final buy-in zone at $22. I'd be DCAing into the stock. Not too much more to say on that. SoundHound AI, again, it's come back down. That's why we sell when we make our profits. That's why $8.72 we sold. Where would I be buying? I'd be buying around where we are now. Moving averages around $3.60. So I'll be back into SoundHound. Marlin, I wouldn't worry about. Tilray. Wow. And that's why you take profits. Why do we take our profits? We bought it at $1.50, sold it at $2.50. Of course, it went higher to $3, but we were out the stock. We took our profits. We didn't hit our final take profit, but two of our take profits were hit very quickly, and now we're back at the buy-in zone. So around that $1.70, even where we are back now. If you like the stock and you've made some money, then you can put some money back in now. Luna. Nothing too interesting. Lucid, nothing too interesting. Shopify, nothing too interesting. Coinbase, very nice. I love to see a back test of a resistance. It was a resistance, came back for a back test, and now we're trying to look for $305. Remember the trade we did on Coinbase, buying at $62, selling it at $210. Very nice. Netflix, nothing to do with Netflix. Fiverr, final buy-in zone would be at $17. Oh, we've got Martyn here. We had Martyn giving us a wave, so we were giving him a wave back. Had Martyn giving us a wave. Sorry, let's go back to Palantir. Nothing to do with Palantir. We then have... Wow, I'll go to the comments now. I've just seen James' comment. Very, very cool. ARK Invest is... We got our buys in at $34. Let's go to James' comment because I like what he's just said. Oh, my camera's gone again. And I've got a weird white bar. I don't understand. Let's just read these comments though. I would choose go Tesla, says James, and then he says, I bought and sold SBC today on the pump, made a little bit of profit. Congratulations, James. James then said, since I forgot to tell you, I made a new pie on Trading 212. It's already got 500 people copying. Congratulations, James. I know you had one last time, and now you've got another one. That's super cool. That 500 people are copying. That's 500 people taking advice from you, James. That's a lot of people's livelihoods in your hands. I'm joking. I know how it all works, but congratulations, James. When I go on Trading 212, I'm sure it'll be one of the first ones on the list. Tesla is running. Yes, Eric B, it is. Can you have a look at VLD, please, says Vaz. Yes, we can. Let's have a quick look at Tesla and then VLD. Where's Tesla gone? So Tesla, yeah, it's up 9.21%. VLD. Velo 3D. Yeah, so what was it? It broke out of this green trend line here. It was at a low. It was sort of buy signals all the way from 25 to 30 cents. And then we had, what was the obstacle that we kept saying? The moving averages around 60 cents. We didn't break through the moving averages, and unfortunately we're back below resistance and support. So what are you looking for now? Probably 19 cents, to be honest. You've got one final level of support where you are literally right now. You break 24 cents, 19 cents would be your next buy-in zone. So I'll be looking for 19 cents for VLD. Back to Tesla is really the star of the show today. Look at that, up 9% today. How much higher can it go, and will it all drop straight back down during the earnings call, which is in exactly, bring it up on the screen, half an hour. Looking forward to that. Let's have a look at their press release. In the first quarter, we produced over 433,000 vehicles and delivered approximately 387,000 vehicles, deployed 4,000 megawatt hours of energy storage, and the highest quarterly development yet. The energy storage, remember, he has said in the past, can be bigger than the car side of things. So that is good to see that they're focusing on that. They haven't been focusing on that for the last... Since they acquired that massive solar company. Was it Solar? I've forgotten now. I don't really keep up with Tesla anymore because I made the significant gains with Tesla. And I don't need to keep up with it anymore. It's become a blue chip now. It wasn't when I first bought it, and that's why I kept up with all the news. But right now, since they acquired that massive solar company and took over that, they really did not focus on solar or battery storage until the last 1 or 2 years, where we've been seeing a nice trend up. So it's really good to see that. Declines in volumes were partially due to early phase of the production ramp of the updated Model 3 at our Fremont factory, and our factory shutdowns resulting from shipping diversions caused by the Red Sea conflict and an arson attack at Gigafactory Berlin, or Giga Berlin as we like to call it. So that's not good. But hopefully they won't have another arson attack at Gigafactory Berlin. Most of their vehicles were Model 3 and Y. That was 100,000 of their production. So you can see how much the company is really based on Model 3 and Y. And when I was looking at this company, they had 0 Model 3 production. 2018, 2019, they had very few and they had massive problems. So you can see how quickly it became their whole company is based on Model 3 and Model Y performance. And now it's less dependent on that. Now you've got obviously Cybertruck, but that's not going to be a big part of their business. Now you've got the solar, which is ramping up, the battery storage, which is ramping up. You've got the Tesla bot in the pipeline. You've got the $25,000 vehicle in the pipeline. You've got the AI, the Dojo as part of it, and the robo taxis are becoming more likely to happen in the next 5 years. Stephen fell asleep. I don't blame you, Stephen. I do not blame you, but he's back. Tesla will post its financial results for the first quarter of 2024 after the market close. Okay. Let's go back. Check on this. Check in on Martyn. See what's going on there.
ASP variance. Are you dropping pricing at a particular customer? And the answer is we are very disciplined there. So what you are seeing is a result of mix, but we are extremely disciplined when it comes to, you talked about, in order to move inventory, do you need to lower pricing? No, we don't play games like that. So we are disciplined. We will be disciplined. We sell on value, and what you are seeing is purely a product mix issue.
Excellent. Super helpful. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And our next question today comes from Brian Lee at Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Hey, guys. Good afternoon. Thanks for taking the questions. Hey, Badri, can you talk a little bit about, you said at the onset of the call that, you
just tuning into Martyn there, seeing
what's going on a little bit less than or destock.
Yeah, I've already got onto the questions and we haven't even started our earnings. Got a small countdown, but I think it's slightly wrong. Let's edit that. It's fine. Okay. So Tesla still moving up. It's now up 8.65%. It's got a trend to the upside now. Where would I see resistance for Tesla? It would be around the one. We can get as high as 160, and then we might have a few issues, and that's where we might get a pullback during the live earnings and questions. So keep an eye out for 160. James says, who thinks Tesla will start on time or be fashionably late? Let's hope they start on time. Let's get rid of my timer. Let's hope they start on time. Because I don't want to be here for 3 hours. Got a busy day tomorrow. As you all know, I'm planning a wedding, and that is stressful when you plan it 3 weeks before you decide to do it. Stephen says late. I hope not. Sensei, it's not 500 copying, it's actually 600. Wow. 4 people have not hit the like button. Who are you? Stacy, I'm right with you. Who are you not hitting the like button? Who are you who doesn't want me to donate $100 to charity? 100 likes, $100 to charity. James says late. I'd really rather they weren't late. Let's listen in. No, nothing there. Let's go through our stocks. We've got Barber. How's that been doing? Because I remember that was in our buy zone. Still in the buy zone. One of the picks that should realistically, intrinsically, be higher value than it is right now. Would I buy Barber or Tesla? I'd be buying Barber. My camera's gone again. Let's go to Hood. Hood is doing great. Remember what we said on Sunday? It's coming back to the support at $16, and then hopefully that just turns resistance into support, and then you're off to $33. Rocket Lab, we've not been too bullish about that. What we've been saying is it can go down, go in for the retest, turn it into resistance, and then continue going down. I haven't heard too much news about Rocket Lab right now. PayPal, nothing much. Tesla is what we're looking at today. The Nasdaq has been performing well. Obviously, the news of the war has become less likely, which is good news. Disney, not too much to do. Microsoft, that we're covering. I'm actually covering the earnings in 2 days on that, so do join me on the extra channel for that. We've got Wrap Technologies, which is below the next resistance, so it's looking like 127 might be next. Amazon, that's coming up in a couple of days. As you know, that's coming up next week actually. Google, all-time highs, is it? Yep, all-time highs for Google today, or very close to all-time highs anyway. The S&P 500 is performing very well. Came to the heartline. Look what it tested. Look what it tested. It tested those moving averages. That's why I keep them on my chart. I like to keep my charts very simple. I don't have 200 different moving averages. I don't have 200 different indicators like at the RSI. Sometimes the MACD, pivot points, and just these moving averages. And it came, tested those moving averages, and it's back higher. When the stock is above these moving averages, I call it the bull market support band. When it's above it, I consider the stock in a bull market, and it is a bull market. Of course, there's a few indicators that go along with that, but as a generic term, I like to call it a bull market for that stock, and we have tested the bull market support band. MicroStrategy looking good. Nikola, we had our trade, we took our profits, and that's why you take your profits. Wow, what a trade. Literally to the dollar, made 87%, and it dropped like right back down like a stone. Is it a buying opportunity? Maybe. Around these levels, 60 cents might be a good buying opportunity. Obviously very high risk. Dollar Tree, where's it come to? I don't move these things. It's literally 122. So it's in the buy zone for Dollar Tree. Apple. Apple is below its bull market support band, not looking amazing for Apple. McDonald's, nothing too interesting. J&J went to 143, bounced directly from our support line. That wasn't there before. That's why we put them in. It's a pivot point. You just buy at these support levels. 3 days with J&J, a massive market cap, $360 billion market cap company. You've made 5% in 3 days. Pfizer. Here we go. Pfizer. It was at the buy level on the trend line, and since then, of course, it dropped slightly below. Didn't hit our stop loss. We're up 3% in 3 days. Coca-Cola getting back above trend, looking good. Berkshire Hathaway, not too interesting. iBit, not too interesting. DXY, not too interesting. And AMC, not too interesting. Let's go back to Tesla because the Tesla earnings is coming up shortly. Imagine if Martyn finishes before we even start the Tesla earnings. That would be funny. Let's go back to your questions. Do you have a way we could send you a gift card for your wedding? How exciting. I met my husband the last weekend in May and we got married in October the same year, going 14 years married. Wow, Stacey, what an amazing story. That's very good. You know if it's the right person when you meet them. You know if it's the one you want to marry or not. And it seems like you did because you got married the same year. Is there a way to send gift cards? Unfortunately not, Stacey, but it's very kind of you to offer. I think Martyn said he might be doing something with a mug, so you can ask him about that. Martyn might be sending me a mug with everyone signing that. Congratulations on your upcoming wedding, Sensei. Thank you, James. Time in the UK is 10 o'clock, 10:10. Stephen says, ouch. Yes, I should be the one falling asleep, not you, Stephen. But we will let it go, Stephen, and we know that you went very well. So I'm very happy you're well again. This could be a long one, says Vaz. Yes, it can be. It can be a very long one. I'm a night owl. I always stay up very late. So do I, James, but it's a bit difficult when you don't feel too well. Congratulations, Sense, on your wedding. I'm sure you're a lucky man. I am. Thank you, Zach. She's the lucky woman, actually. Let's put it that way. I'm joking. I'm not sure you know that Sensitive wife was Oz Ozjusan. I didn't know that, Zach. Thank you for letting me know. I really need YouTube Premium. I feel like I watch about James. Just do it. Just do it now. Just get YouTube Premium. Just get it done. The more ads you watch, the you can be avoiding all those ads. Just get it now, James. Vaz, anytime I see an ad on YouTube, it gets my back up, and it works the complete opposite way. Gets my back up. Gets my back up and always does it, Vaz? I absolutely hate ads. Unless you're trying to unless you're a business minded person and you're trying to sell a product and you want to watch those ads to see how best to interact with people and how to market. That's the only reason why I'd turn off YouTube Premium. Zach, I've never heard of the word AutoJam before. Like Huel, an example. I used to be a big fan of them. Now I'm so fed up with their ads. I don't want to see them see in the shop, and I get a lot of training related ads as well now. As they know how to target you. As if I see an advert, I also do not buy the item. That's interesting. Very, very interesting. I sometimes fall for ads, to be honest. I'm one of those people that sees an ad and goes, wow, I need that. I'm probably the easiest person to sell something to. So if anyone has anything to sell, I normally just fall for it. I like using VPN on YouTube, so I see adverts in different countries. What James says, that's always interesting. That's a funny one. Let's have a look at it. Oh, my camera's gone again. Great. Why is that happening? It's really annoying me. Okay, let's tune into Martyn for the last time before the earnings start.
Forecasting methodology that was faulty, and then how you've adjusted for those errors heading into the second quarter. Essentially, what I'm just trying to get at is, are your forecasting approaches improving, and I'm trying to get to a point where, the street can have confidence that sell-through will land about where you expect it to in the second quarter.
Right. In general, we are not perfect. We forecast based on the seasonality. We were right in most places, and as I reported, the California numbers were a little bit worse, and you can see that the sell-through in California was about 30% lower, 37% on microinverters, and about, I think, 18 or 19% on batteries. So I think California was
coming up to 15 minutes to Tesla earnings. Getting very, very exciting now. Let's go back to the Tesla chart. It's coming back down slightly. Wait for my camera to go again. That's fine. Okay. One never sees an ad for Martyn Nucleus Investors, says Vaz. Yes, I don't. It's because I've got YouTube Premium. Let's have a look at some crypto while we wait. Stacey, do you own any Toncoin? Did you see it drop? Did you buy any on the dip? Let's have a look at some of these cryptos. Bitcoin around 66,000. There's Toncoin. Let me add that here. Ton. I noticed it wasn't on Coinbase, I don't think. Not yet, so that might be the next thing going for Ton. Ton's at $5. I want to see if we can get it for $3.50. That'd be a nice place to be buying Ton. $26 people watching. Thank you for tuning in. 100 likes equals $100 donated to charity. We've got 17 likes right now. If we can get the likes up, that'll be brilliant. You bought $1,000 worth. Wow, Stacey. I wish you the best of luck. Just remember that it is going to be volatile. You might see it drop 50%. Don't put in more than you can afford to lose. Have some more money on the side in case you want to invest lower. Don't chase. Don't trade if you're not. Don't leverage trade if you haven't before. Everyone who I've ever seen leverage trade for the first year loses money, including myself. And a lot of the stocks that we cover, the smaller market cap ones, same scenario. A lot of these stocks that we cover on the channel are very volatile and can drop a lot in value. It's high risk, high reward. So good luck to you on Toncoin. It does seem like a good coin, but I would keep a bit of money aside to buy and lower. But you would be surprised if this crypto bull run is like the bull runs previously. I wouldn't be surprised if your $1,000 investment turns into $10,000, $15,000. If you don't own much crypto, then buy some. Again, not financial advice, but I'd buy some XRP. I'd buy some Filecoin. I'd buy some Bitcoin, Ethereum if you really want to, but I'd rather probably bought the dip on that and the bottom of that. So it would be looking for those altcoins, and remember, just have a bit of money aside because there's always random massive drops in the crypto market. Sometimes news driven, sometimes leverage driven. You see 50% drops on the altcoins. It's very I guarantee in this year you'll see 50% drops on some of these altcoins. So you just either have limit orders set up, or if you don't want to have your money in USDC, USDT, you can just you've got an eye on the market. You're watching the channel, so you'll know when there's these sudden drops, and you can have a bit of money set aside in a little pot that you can just go around and start shopping. Oh, CRO. Yep, CRO, says James. I'll buy more when it comes down a little bit, says Stacey. Smash the like, says James. It's all good. I have about 10k play money just to throw around. I'm patient. I love high risk long. Amazing, Stacey. As long as you know what you're doing and what you can afford to lose, and you know it's high risk, then it's the best market for it. James Solison says CRO. Yes, CRO is also one of our picks. One of James's favourites. I have a pretty hefty XRP waiting on its time lot. Yep, XRP, I've been waiting on it a long time. XRP, let me just quickly show you before Tesla starts in about 10 minutes. XRP, you can be invested in 4 years, nothing happens. But in 2 weeks, you make all the gains. For example, last bull market, which was suppressed by the lawsuit in 18 days, you made 318%. The bull market before that, it happens very, very quickly. Bull market before that, in 24 days, you made 1,300%. During that same bull market, in just over a month, you made 5,800%. And the bull market before, in 12 days, you made 800%. So you can see these gains. You can be waiting such a long time, and they happen in 2 weeks, 1 month, 1 week. So we just have to be patient. And XRP is one of the ones that just suddenly goes up. Maybe 6 months from now, maybe a year from now, maybe never. But just historically, it happens very quickly, and it's worth being invested and buying those big dips for the weeks that does happen. Let's go back to Tesla. Tesla selling up a little bit, but it's still up 8% on the after hours. Martyn says we're nearly done. I'll send them on to you. They're going to be finished before we start. Well, what is Ion Crypto? Martyn picked it up on the massive 10 million% spike but never followed up. Do we know why that was? Ion crypto. Ion USD. Ion. It's on Osmosis, which is on the Atom chain. Yeah, to be honest, I have no idea what Ion is. Not something I know too much about. But thank you for suggesting it. I like CRO. When you're done, we'll send everyone to you. I mean, if I lose all my play money, I'll blame you and Martyn because everyone else does. Just kidding, but I like listening to your not financial advice. Thank you, Stacey. It's just about the information to get and all these different perspectives and seeing market sentiment. These channels have helped me a lot. That's great to hear, Stacey. James 007, send the viewers over here, Martyn. Tell them to hit the like button on the way in. We need 100 likes. Yes, Martyn, please do that. Thank you, James, for telling Martyn what to do. We've got about 8 minutes before we start.
Power conversion and battery management. And basically, what's going to happen is our third generation battery, the Y direction, is going to almost get cut by 40%. And instead of 6 microinverters that we have in the third generation battery, we will now have 2 microinverters, one on each side of the fourth generation battery, significantly cutting down the form factor. So we expect that to bring in another big level of improvement in gross margin. So those are the gross margin puts and takes on our batteries.
Okay, very helpful. And then my quick follow-up question on the 45x within gross margin.
I'm getting very close now. Let's see what Elon Musk has to say today. He's getting weirder and weirder. So let's see what comments he says today. Let's see how off track he goes. See what he's probably going to say something about the war and stir up some stuff. So be interesting what Elon Musk has to say. But it'll be also interesting what the other executives have to say as well. And let's see if they manage to give up all the gains by saying something wrong. I hope it doesn't start fashionably late, James. What is Enphase Energy? Enphase Energy is one of the biggest solar companies out there. Maybe it was OIN Crypto. I don't remember. It shot up for a few minutes over 10 million% and then dropped back down. I don't think it actually went up 10 million%. I really don't think it did. It might have been a glitch on the crypto bubbles. It might have been reported incorrectly, but I don't think it went up 100 million%. I thought you would have known, lol. Sorry, Vas. I normally do know a lot of about the crypto markets, but must have just been a glitch. Elon might not be human. That's also a possibility, James. Getting very close now. I like Elon. Yeah, I like him. I like what he's done. Sometimes I like him, sometimes I don't like him. Currently more swaying towards not liking, but always like him. I don't know. I've got a love-hate relationship with Elon Musk. But in general, I always defend him. When Martyn didn't like him, I was defending Elon. But now Martyn likes him, I don't defend Elon. Oh, I hope Elon mentions Dogecoin. That'll be good. Let's have a look at Dogecoin. Is that going up with Tesla? It's flat on the day. Who wants to buy Doge in case Elon Musk said something about Dogecoin? That'll be interesting to see. Elon Musk saying something wrong? When? Lol, says Vaz. Yeah, when has he ever done that? Was someone else reporting today? Was it Meta? Oh, there it is. Meta's up 1.35%. Was that today? No, that's on the 24th. That's tomorrow. Is the S&P 500 going up? Let's have a look at the US 500. No. Alright, getting very close. 5 minutes. Let's see if they're going to be late or not. 4 minutes. I like Elon's visions to go to Mars. We need to explore space and other planets. Yeah, that's very, very cool. We need to explore, but do we need to explore? What is this? I'm just got this come through. It's just turned from the timeline. There we go. We've got this ready now. So what we're gonna do is keep an eye on that. Should be live in 4 minutes. But yes, do we really need to go explore Mars though? How important really is that? I know it's cool and multiplanetary and all that sort of stuff, but is it really that important? We need to put. Let's get back to comments. We need to go explore space and other planets. I hope one day we get to see a live stream of the first man or woman on Mars. We live in a simulation underwater, in a dome, and aliens, excuse me, are in Antarctica with all our deadliest technology. I'm just saying. Yeah, Stacey, that's right. Me too. I lost 313 shares. 50. Make sure you don't play music. Yes, no music here. It was just for 2 seconds. Stacey says that Eric B. Huge mineral deposits on Mars. Interesting. How would we get it back to Earth? Keep muted until they speak. Of course, Martin. We know what we're doing. I was just checking. Has Martin finished his stream?
And the battery is dead. That is, the state of charge drops to % or below.
No. So we just had a quick telling off by Martin. Tesla's up 8.2% in the after hours. It should be starting in about 2 minutes. When he bought Twitter. Me too. Lost money. 313 shares at 296 in and in out. 246 I lost 50 per share. $15,000 you lost a few years ago. Sorry about that, Stephen. Danger of the game, isn't it? Well, at least you got out. You know when to get out and where you want to take your profits and losses. Otherwise, you could have been holding all the way down to 144 like it was today. Stacey, Antarctica has secrets to hide. Have you ever read about Admiral Brid? Admiral Brid was from my area, and yes, read his stuff. Love to know his stuff. If you guys can give me a quick rundown of what that's all about. I'm sure there's millions of secrets out there in the world. Still waiting on this. We'll be going live on the Tesla earnings call in hopefully 1 minute. If you haven't already, please do hit the like button. 100 likes means we'll give $100 to charity. We are all being deceived. Life is not like you think it is. I agree, Mike. Tesla is now up 8.2% in the after hours. If we go on the 5-minute time frame, we can see a big candle when the after hours started. Consolidation down, move up, consolidation down. Are we going to get to our 160 resistance? And then a sell-off Nope. Admiral Brid. I'm probably saying his name wrong. Brid. Brid. Love it. 2 watches the What Files. Oh my god, let's not go down the rabbit hole because I have a whole bar. Mike, Project High Jump. Okay, this means nothing to me, so I need some context, please. Stacey, I'll watch everything, says James. Why is everyone in on this and I'm not? I'm telling you, we are all energy. No, we're all the creation of God. That's for sure. Which could be energy, but I'm very switched on, says James.
Looking statements.
Here we go.
These
we are
comments are
live
based on
now.
our predictions and
Let's
expectations
tune in.
as of today. Actual events and results could differ materially due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those mentioned in our most recent filings with the SEC. During the question and answer portion of today's call, please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Please use the raise hand button to join the question queue. But before we jump into Q&A, Elon has some opening remarks. Elon?
Thanks, Martin. So to recap, in Q1, we navigated several unforeseen challenges as well as the ramp of the updated Model 3 in Fremont. There was, as people have seen, the EV adoption rate globally is under pressure, and a lot of other auto manufacturers are pulling back on EVs and pursuing plug-in hybrids instead. We believe this is not the right strategy, and electric vehicles will ultimately dominate the market. Despite these challenges, the Tesla team did a great job executing in a tough environment, and energy storage deployments, the Megapack in particular, reached an all-time high in Q1, leading to record profitability for the energy business. And that looks likely to continue to increase in the quarters and years ahead. It will increase. We actually know that it will. Significantly faster than the car business, as we expected. We also continued to expand our AI training capacity in Q1, more than doubling our training compute sequentially. In terms of the new product roadmap, there's been a lot of talk about our upcoming vehicle line in the past several weeks. We've updated our future vehicle lineup to accelerate the launch of new models ahead of previously mentioned start of production in the second half of 2025. So we expect it to be more like the early 2025, if not late this year. These new vehicles, including more affordable models, will use aspects of the next generation platform, as well as aspects of our current platforms, and will be able to be produced on the same manufacturing lines as our current vehicle lineup. So it's not contingent on any new factory or massive new production line. It'll be made on our current production lines much more efficiently. And we think this should allow us to get to over 3 million vehicles of capacity when realized to the full extent. Regarding FSD version 12, which is the pure AI-based self-driving, people that if you haven't experienced this, I strongly urge you to try it out. It's profound, and the rate of improvement is rapid. So we've now turned that on for all cars with the cameras and inference computer and everything from hardware 3 on in North America. So it's been pushed out to I think around 1.8 million vehicles, and we're seeing about half of people use it so far, and that percentage is increasing with each passing week. So we now have over 300 billion miles that have been driven with FSD V12. Since the launch of full self-driving, supervised full self-driving, it's become very clear that the vision-based approach with end-to-end neural networks is the right solution for scalable autonomy. And it's really how humans drive. Our entire road network is designed for biological neural nets and eyes. So naturally, cameras and digital neural nets are the solution to our current road system. To make it more accessible, we've reduced the subscription price to $99 a month, so it's easy to try out. And as we've announced, we'll be showcasing our purpose-built robotaxi or cybercab in August. Regarding AI compute, over the past few months, we've been actively working on expanding Tesla's core AI infrastructure. For a while there, we were training constrained in our progress. We are, at this point, no longer training constrained, and so we're making rapid progress. We've installed and commissioned, meaning they're actually working, 35,000 H100 computers, or GPUs. GPU is the wrong word. They need a new word. I always feel like a wince when I say GPU, because it's not GPU, G stands for graphics, and it doesn't do graphics. But anyway, roughly 35,000 H100s are active, and we expect that to be probably 85,000 or thereabouts by the end of this year. In training, just for training. We are making sure that we're being as efficient as possible in our training. It's not just about the number of H100s, but how efficiently they're used. So in conclusion, we're super excited about our autonomy roadmap. I think it should be obvious to anyone who's driving version 12 in a Tesla that it is only a matter of time before we exceed the reliability of humans, and not much time at that. And we're really headed for an electric vehicle, an autonomous future. And I'll go back to something I said several years ago, that in the future, gasoline cars that are not autonomous will be like riding a horse and using a flip phone. And that will become very obvious in hindsight. We continue to make the necessary investments that will drive growth and profits for Tesla in the future. And I wanted to thank the Tesla team for incredible execution during this period, and look forward to everything that we have planned ahead. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And Eberhard has some comments as well.
Thanks. It's important to acknowledge what Elon said. From our auto business perspective, we did see a decline in revenues quarter over quarter, and those were primarily because of seasonality, uncertain macroeconomic environment, and the other reasons which Elon had mentioned earlier. Auto margins declined from 18.9 to 18.5%, excluding the impact of Cybertruck. The impact of pricing actions was largely offset by reductions in per unit cost and the recognition of revenue from Autopark feature for certain vehicles in the US that previously did not have that functionality. Additionally, while we did experience higher costs due to the ramp of Model 3 in Fremont and disruptions in Berlin, these costs were largely offset by cost reduction initiatives. In fact, if we exclude Cybertruck and Fremont Model 3 ramp costs, the revenue from Autopark, auto margins improved slightly. Currently, normalized Model Y cost per vehicle in Austin and Berlin are already very close to that of Fremont. Our ability to reduce costs without sacrificing on quality was due to the amazing efforts of the team in executing Tesla's relentless pursuit of efficiency across the business. We've also witnessed that as other OEMs are pulling back on their investments in EV, there is increasing appetite for credits, and that means a steady stream of revenue for us. Obviously, seeing others pull back from EV is not the future we want. We would prefer it the whole industry went all in. On the demand front, we have undertaken a variety of initiatives, including lowering the price of both the purchase and subscription options for FSD, launching extremely attractive leasing specials for the Model 3 in the US for $299 a month, and offering attractive financing options in certain markets. We believe that our awareness activities paired with attractive financing will go a long way in expanding our reach and driving demand for our products. Our energy business continues to make meaningful progress with margins reaching a record of 24.6%. We expect the energy storage deployments for 2024 to grow at least 75% higher from 2023. And accordingly, this business will begin contributing significantly to our overall profitability. Note that there is a bit of lumpiness in our storage deployments due to a variety of factors that are outside of our control, so deployments may fluctuate quarter over quarter. On the operating expense front, we saw a sequential increase from our AI initiatives, continued investment in future projects, marketing, and other activities. We had negative free cash flow of $2.5 billion in the first quarter. The primary driver of this was an increase in inventory from a mismatch between builds and deliveries, as discussed before, and our elevated spend on CapEx across various initiatives, including AI compute. We expect the inventory build to reverse in the second quarter and free cash flow to return to positive again. As we prepare the company for the next phase of growth, we had to make the hard but necessary decision to reduce our headcount by over 10%. The savings generated are expected to be well in excess of $1 billion on an annual run rate basis. We are also getting hyper-focused on CapEx efficiency and utilizing our installed capacity in a more efficient manner. The savings from these initiatives, including our cost reductions, will help improve our overall profitability and ultimately enable us to increase the scale of our investments in AI. In conclusion, the future is extremely bright, and the journey to get there, while challenging, will be extremely rewarding. Once again, I would like to thank the whole Tesla team for delivering great results, and we can open it up to Q&A.
Thank you. Okay, let's start with investor Q&A. The first question is, what is the status of 4680? What is the current output? Lars?
Sure. 4680 production increased about 18-20% from Q4, reaching greater than 1K a week for Cybertruck, which is about 7 gigawatt hours per year, as we posted on X. We expect to stay ahead of the Cybertruck ramp with the cell production throughout Q2 as we ramp the 3rd of 4 lines in phase 1, while maintaining multiple weeks of cell inventory to make sure we're ahead of the ramp. Because we're ramping, COGS continues to drop rapidly week over week, driven by yield improvements throughout the lines and production volume increases. So our goal, and we expect to do this, is to beat supplier costs of nickel-based cells by the end of the year.
Thank you. The second question is on Optimus. So what is the current status of Optimus? Are they currently performing any factory tasks? When do you expect to start mass production?
We are able to do simple factory tasks, or at least I should say factory tasks in the lab. In terms of actually, we do think we will have Optimus in limited production in the factory, in the actual factory itself, doing useful tasks before the end of this year. And then I think we may be able to sell it externally by the end of next year. These are just guesses. As I've said before, I think Optimus will be more valuable than everything else combined. Because if you've got a sentient humanoid robot that is able to navigate reality and do tasks at request, there is no meaningful limit to the size of the economy. So that's what's going to happen. And I think Tesla is best positioned of any humanoid robot maker to be able to reach volume production with efficient inference on the robot itself. This perhaps is a point that is worth emphasizing. Tesla's AI inference efficiency is vastly better than any other company. No, there's no company even close to the inference efficiency of Tesla. We've had to do that because we were constrained by the inference hardware in the car. We didn't have a choice. But that will pay dividends in many ways.
Thank you. The third question is, what is Tesla's current assessment of the pathway towards regulatory approval for unsupervised FSD in the US? And how should we think about the appropriate safety threshold compared to human drivers?
Sure. I can start. There are a handful of states that already have adopted autonomous vehicle laws. These states are paving the way for operations, while the data for such operations guides a broader adoption of driverless vehicles. I think Ashok can talk a little bit about our safety methodology, but we expect that these states and the work ongoing, as well as the data that we're providing, will pave the way for a broad-based regulatory approval in the US at least, and then other countries as well.
Yeah. it's actually been pretty helpful that other autonomous car companies have been cutting a path through the regulatory jungle. That's actually quite helpful. And they have obviously been operating in San Francisco for a while. I think they got approval for City of LA. So these approvals are happening rapidly. I think if you've got at scale a statistically significant amount of data that shows conclusively that the autonomous car has, let's say, half the accident rate of a human-driven car, I think that's difficult to ignore, because at that point, stopping autonomy means killing people. So I actually do not think that there will be significant regulatory barriers, provided there is conclusive data that the autonomous car is safer than a human-driven car. And in my view, this will be much like elevators. Like, elevators used to be operated by a guy with a relay switch, but sometimes that guy would get tired or drunk or just make a mistake and shear somebody in half between floors. So now we just get in an elevator and press a button. We don't think about it. In fact, it's kind of weird if somebody's standing there with a relay switch. That'll be how cars work. You just summon a car using your phone. You get in, it takes you to a destination, you get out.
You don't even think about it.
You don't even think about it. Just like an elevator. It takes you to your floor. That's it. Don't think about how the elevator is working or anything like that. Now, something I should clarify is that Tesla will be operating the fleet. So you can think of like how Tesla, think of Tesla like, I don't know, some combination of Airbnb and Uber, meaning that, there'll be some number of cars that Tesla owns itself and operates in the fleet. There'll be some number of cars, and then there'll be a bunch of cars where they're owned by the end user, but that end user can add or subtract their car to the fleet whenever they want. And they can decide if they want to only let the car be used by friends and family, or only by 5-star users, or by anyone. And at any time, they could have the car come back to them and be exclusively theirs, like an Airbnb. You could rent out your guest room or not anytime you want. As our fleet grows, we have 7 million cars, 9 million cars, eventually tens of millions of cars worldwide. With a constant feedback loop, every time something goes wrong, that gets added to the training data, and you get this training flywheel happening in the same way that Google search has the sort of flywheel. It's very difficult to compete with Google because people are constantly doing searches and clicking, and Google's getting that feedback loop. It's the same with Tesla, but at a scale that is maybe difficult to comprehend, but ultimately be tens of millions. I think there's also some potential here for an AWS element down the road, where if we've got very powerful inference, because we've got a hardware 3 in the cars, but now all cars are being made with hardware 4. Hardware 5 is pretty much designed and should be in cars hopefully towards the end of next year. And there's a potential to have to run, when the car is not moving, to actually run distributed inference. So kind of like AWS, but distributed inference. Like, it takes a lot of computers to train an AI model, but many orders of magnitude less compute to run it. So if you can imagine a future perhaps where there's a fleet of 100 million Teslas, and on average they've got like maybe a kilowatt of inference compute, that's 100 gigawatts of inference compute distributed all around the world. It's pretty hard to put together 100 gigawatts of AI compute. And even in an autonomous future where the car is perhaps used, instead of being used 10 hours a week, is used 50 hours a week, that still leaves over 100 hours a week where the car inference computer could be doing something else. And it seems like it would be a waste not to use it.
Not sure, do you want to chime in on the process?
And we have an estimate of what are the critical events, are they a net improvement compared to the previous week's builds. And once we have confidence that the build is a net improvement, then we start shipping to early users, like 2,000 employees initially, that they would like get the build. They would give feedback on like if it's an improvement or are they noticing some new issues that we did not capture in our own QA process. And only after all of this is validated, then we go to external customers. And even when we go external, we have like live dashboards of monitoring every critical event that's happening in the fleet, sorted by the criticality of it. So we are having a constant pulse on the build's quality and the safety improvement along the way. And then any failures, like Elon alluded to, you get the data back, add it to the training, and that improves the model in the next cycle. So we have this like constant feedback loop of issues, fixes, evaluations, and then rinse and repeat. And especially with the new V2 architecture, all of this is automatically improving without requiring much engineering interventions, in the sense that engineers don't have to be creative in like how they code the algorithms. It's mostly learning on its own based on data. So you see that, okay, we failed here, or like this is how a person shows, this is how you drive this intersection or something like that. We get the data back, we add it to the neural network, and it learns from that training data automatically, instead of some engineers saying that, oh, here you must rotate the steering wheel by this much or something like that. There's no hard if-else conditions. Everything is neural network. It's very soft. It's probabilistic. So it will adapt its probability distribution based on the new data that it's getting.
Yeah, and we do have some insight into how good the things will be in, like, let's say 3 or 4 months, because we have advanced models that are far more capable than what is in the car. But have some issues with them that we need to fix. So there'll be a step change improvement in the capabilities of the car, but it'll have some quirks that are that need to be addressed in order to release it. As Ashok was saying, we have to be very careful in what we release to the fleet or to customers in general. So like if we look at say 12.4 and 12.5, which are really could arguably even be version 13 and version 14, because it's pretty close to a total retrain of the neural nets in each case, or substantially different. So we have good insight into where the models, how well the car will perform in say 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, in terms of scaling laws, people in the AI community generally talk about model scaling laws, where they increase the model size a lot, and then they have corresponding gains in performance. But we have also figured out scaling laws in other axes. In addition to the model size scaling, we can also have data scaling. You can increase the amount of data you use to train the neural network, and that also gives similar gains. And you can also scale up by training compute. You can train it for much longer and want more GPUs or more Dojo nodes, and that also gives better performance. And you can also have architecture scaling, where you come up with better architectures that for the same amount of compute produce better results. So a combination of model size scaling, data scaling, training compute scaling, and the architecture scaling, we can basically okay, if we continue scaling based on this ratio, we can sort of predict future performance. Obviously, it takes time to do the experiments, because it takes few weeks to train. It takes few weeks to collect tens of millions of video clips and process all of them. But you can estimate what's going to be the future progress based on the trends that we have seen in the past, and they've generally held true based on the past data.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to the next question, which is, can we get an official announcement of the timeline for the $25,000 vehicle?
I think Elon mentioned it in the opening remarks, but as you mentioned, we're updating our future vehicle lineup to accelerate the launch of our low-cost vehicles in a more CapEx efficient way. That's our mission, to get the most affordable cars to customers as fast as possible. These new vehicles will be built on our existing lines and open capacity, and that's a major shift, to utilize all our capacity with marginal CapEx before we go spend high CapEx to do anything.
Yeah, we'll talk about this more on August 8th. But really the way to think of Tesla is almost entirely in terms of solving autonomy and being able to turn on that autonomy for a gigantic fleet. And I think it might be the biggest asset value appreciation in history when that day happens, when you can do unsupervised full self-driving.
5 million cars.
Yeah.
Oh, a little less.
Well,
Some of those have, yeah.
It'll be 7 million cars, in a year or so.
Yeah.
And then 10 million, and then, eventually we're talking about tens of millions of cars. Not eventually, it's like before the end of this decade. Yeah, before the end of the decade, it's several tens of millions of cars, I think.
Thank you. The next question is, what is the progress of Cybertruck ramp?
I can take that one too. Cybertruck hit 1K a week just a couple weeks ago. This happened in the first 4 to 5 months since we SOP'd late last year. Of course, volume production is what matters. That's what drives costs, and so our costs are dropping. But the ramp still faces a lot of challenges with so many new technologies, some supplier limitations, et cetera, and we'll continue to ramp this year, just focusing on cost efficiency and quality.
Okay, thank you. The next question, have any of the legacy automakers contacted Tesla about possibly licensing FSD in the future?
We're in conversations with one major automaker regarding licensing FSD.
Thank you. The next question is about the robotaxi unveil. Elon already talked about that, so we'll have to wait till August. The following question is about the next generation vehicle. We already talked about that. So let's go to the Semi. What is the timeline for scaling Semi? I think
sure. So we're finalizing the engineering of the Semi to enable a super cost-effective, high-volume production with our learnings from our fleet and our pilot fleet and Pepsi's fleet, which we're expanding this year marginally. In parallel, as we showed in the shareholders deck, we have started construction on the factory in Reno. Our first vehicles are planned for late 2025 with external customers starting in 2026.
Okay, couple more questions. So our favorite, can we make FSD transfer permanent until FSD is fully delivered with level 5 autonomy?
No.
Okay, next question. What is gating the production ramp at Lathrop? Where do you see the megapack run rate at the end of the year? Mike?
Yeah, Lathrop is ramping as planned. We have our second GA line allowing us to increase our exit rate from 20 gigawatt hours per year at the start of this year to 40 gigawatt hours per year by the end of the year. That line's commissioned. There's really nothing limiting the ramp. It's given the longer sales cycles for these large projects, we typically have order visibility 12 to 24 months prior to ship dates. So we're able to plan the build plan several quarters in advance. So this allows us to ramp the factory to align with the business and order growth. Lastly, we'd like to thank our customers globally for their trust in Tesla as a partner for these incredible projects.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to analyst questions. The first question comes from Tony Sacconaghi from Bernstein. Tony, please go ahead and unmute.
Thank you for taking the question. I was just wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on kind of the new vehicles that you talked about today. Are these like tweaks on existing models, given that they're going to be running on the same lines, or are these like new models? And how should we think about them, in the context of like the Model 3 Highland update. What will these models be like relative to that? And given the quick time frame, Model 3 Highland has required a lot of work and a lot of retooling. Maybe you can help put that all in context. Thank you. And I have a follow-up, please.
I think we've said all we will on that front. So what's your follow-up?
It's a more personal one for you, Elon, which is that you're leading many important companies right now. Maybe you can just talk about where your heart is at in terms of your interests, and do you expect to lessen your involvement with Tesla at any point over the next 3 years?
Well, Tesla constitutes the majority of my work time, and I work pretty much every day of the week. It's rare for me to take a Sunday afternoon off. So I'm going to make sure Tesla is very prosperous, and I think it is prosperous, and it will be very much so in the future.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Adam Jonas from Morgan Stanley. Adam, please go ahead and unmute.
Okay, great. Hey, Elon. So you and your team on volume expect a 2024 growth rate notably lower than that achieved in 2023. But what's your team's degree of confidence on growth above 0%? Or in other words, does that statement leave room for potentially lower sales year on year?
No, I think we'll have higher sales this year than last year.
Okay. My follow-up, Elon, on future product. If you had nailed execution, assuming that you nail execution on your next-gen cheaper vehicles, more aggressive giga castings, I don't want to say one piece, but getting closer to one piece, structural pack, unboxed, 300-mile range, $25,000 price point, putting aside robotaxi, those features unique to you, how long would it take your best Chinese competitors to copy a cheaper and better vehicle that you could offer a couple of years from now? How long would it take your best Chinese competitors to copy that? Thanks.
I mean, I don't know what our competitors could do, except we've done relatively better than they have. If you look at the drop in our competitors in China sales versus our drop in sales, our drop was less than theirs. So we're doing well. But I think Kathy Wood said it best. Like, really, we should be thought of as an AI or robotics company. If you value Tesla as just like an auto company, you just have to fundamentally. It's just the wrong framework. And it will come to if you ask the wrong question, then the right answer is impossible. So, I mean, if somebody doesn't believe Tesla is going to solve autonomy, I think they should not be an investor in the company. Like that is, but we will, and we are. And then you have a car that goes from 10 hours of use a week, like an hour and a half a day, to probably 50, but it costs the same.
I think that's the key thing to remember, right? Especially if you look at FSD supervised. If you didn't believe in autonomy, they should give you a preview that this is coming. It's actually getting better day by day.
Yeah, if you've not tried the FSD 12.3, and like I said, 12.4 is going to be significantly better, and 12.5 even better than that, and we have visibility into those things, then you really don't understand what's going on. It's not possible.
Yeah, and that's why we can't just look at just as a car company, because a car company would just have a car. But here we have more than a car company because the cars can be autonomous. And like I said, it's happening.
Yeah, this is all in addition to Tesla. It's working. The overall AI community is just like improving rapidly.
Yeah. I mean, we're putting the actual auto in automobile. So, so sort of a lot of it, we like, well, sort of like, tell us about future horse carriages you're making. I'm like, well, actually, it doesn't need a horse. That's the whole point. That's really the whole point.
Okay, thank you. The next question comes from Alex Potter from Piper Sandler. Alex, please go ahead and unmute.
Great, thanks. Yeah, so couldn't agree more. The thesis hinges completely on AI, the future of AI, full self-driving, neural net training, all of these things. In that context, Elon, you've spoken about your desire to obtain 25% voting control of the company, and I understand completely why that would be. So I'm not necessarily asking about that. I'm asking if you've come up with any mechanism by which you can ensure that you'll obtain that level of voting control, because if not, then the core part of the thesis could potentially be at risk. So any additional commentary you might have on that topic?
Well, I think no matter what, Tesla, even if I got kidnapped by aliens tomorrow, Tesla will solve autonomy, maybe a little slower, but it would solve autonomy for vehicles at least. I don't know if it would win on with respect to Optimus or with respect to future products, but it would. But there's enough momentum for Tesla to solve autonomy, even if I disappeared for vehicles. Now there's a whole range of things we can do in the future beyond that. I'd be more reticent with respect to Optimus. If we have a super sentient humanoid robot that can follow you indoors and that you can't escape, we're talking Terminator level risk, then I'd be uncomfortable with, if there's not some meaningful level of influence over how that is deployed. If there's shareholders have an opportunity to ratify or re-ratify the sort of competition, I guess I can't say that. Whatever, but that is a fact. They have an opportunity.
Okay. Very good.
And we'll see. If the company generates a lot of positive cash flow, we could obviously buy back shares.
All right, that's actually all very helpful context. Thank you. Maybe one final question, then I'll pass it on. OpEx reductions, thank you for quantifying the impact there. I'd be interested also in potentially more qualitative discussion of what the implications are for these headcount reductions. What are the types of activities that you're presumably sacrificing as a result of parting ways with these folks? Thanks very much.
So, like we said, we've done these headcount reductions across the board. And, as companies grow over time, there are certain redundancies, there's some duplication of efforts which happens in certain areas. So you need to go back and look at where all these pockets are, get rid of it. So we're basically going through that exercise wherein we're like, hey, how do we set this company right for the next phase of growth? And the way to think about it is, any tree which grows, it needs pruning. This is the pruning exercise which we went through. And at the end of it, we'll be much stronger and much more resilient to deal with the future, because the future is really bright, like I said in my opening remarks. We just have to get through this period and get there.
Yeah, we're not giving up anything that it's significant that I'm aware of. So we've had a long period of prosperity from 2019 to now, and so if a company sort of organizationally is 5% wrong per year, that accumulates to 25-30% of inefficiency. We've made some corrections along the way, but it is time to reorganize the company for the next phase of growth. And you really need to reorganize it, just like a human. When we start off as one cell and become a zygote and blastocyst, and you start growing arms and legs, and then briefly you have a tail. And so.
But you shed the tail.
You shed the tail, hopefully, and then you're a baby. And you basically have to be the organism, a company is kind of like a creature growing, and if you don't reorganize it for different phases of growth, it will fail. You can't have the same organizational structure if you're 10 cells versus 100 versus a million versus a billion versus a trillion. Where humans are like around 35 trillion cells. It doesn't feel like it feels like feel like one person, but you're basically a walking cell colony of roughly 35 trillion, depending on your body mass, and about 3 times that number in bacteria. So anyway, you've got to reorganize the company for a new phase of growth, or it will fail to achieve that growth.
Thank you. Let's go to Mark Delaney from Goldman Sachs. Mark, please go ahead and unmute.
Yes, good afternoon. Thanks very much for taking the question. The company had previously characterized potential FSD licensing discussions as in the early phase, and some OEMs had not really been believing in it. Can you elaborate on how much the licensing business opportunity you mentioned today has progressed? And is there anything Tesla needs to achieve with the technology in terms of product milestones in order to be successful at reaching a licensing agreement, in your view?
Well, I think it just needs to be obvious that our approach is the right approach. And I think it is. I think we've now with 12.3, if you just have the car drive you around, it is obvious that our solution with there's no car. Nobody wants your car. Yeah, it's a smart car. I just remember back when Nokia was king of the hill. Yeah,
the cell phone industry.
Yeah, crushing. And then I saw them come out with a smartphone that was basically a brick with limited functionality. And then the iPhone and Android. But people still did not understand that all the phones are going to be that way. There's not going to be any flip phones. There'll be a niche product.
Or home phones.
Yeah, not even exactly. When was the last time you saw a home phone? Is it like an anachronism?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
In a hotel. Sometimes in a hotel.
Yeah, the hotels have them. Yeah. So the people don't understand all cars will need to be smart cars. Or you will not sell this. The car will not. Nobody will buy it. Once that becomes obvious, I think licensing becomes not optional.
Becomes a method of survival.
Yeah, so it's license it, or nobody will buy your car.
I mean, one other thing which I'll add is, in the conversations which we've had with some of these OEMs, I just want to also point out that they take a lot of time in their product life cycle.
Yeah.
They're talking about years before they will, put it in their product. We might have a licensing deal earlier than that, but it takes a while. So This is where the big difference between us and them is, right?
Yeah, I mean, really, a deal signed now would result in it being in a car in probably 3 years.
Mm-hmm. That would be early.
Yeah, that's like lightning, basically. So
that's being an eager OEM.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we do sign a deal. I think we're good chance we do sign a deal this year. Maybe more than one. But yeah, it would be probably 3 years before it's integrated with a car, even though all you need is cameras and our inference computer. So it's like not a massive design change.
Yeah, and again, just to clarify, it's not the work which we have to do, it's the work which they have to do, which will take the time.
Right, Mark, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you. My follow-up was to better understand Tesla's approach to pricing going forward. Previously, the company had said that the price reductions were driving incremental demand. With how affordable the cars have become, especially for vehicles that have access to IRA credits and some of the leasing offers that Tesla has in place, do you still see meaningful incremental price reductions as making sense from here for the existing products? And can the company meaningfully lower prices from here and also stay free cash flow positive on an annual basis with the current product set? Thanks.
Yeah, I think we can be free cash flow positive meaningfully. Yeah.
I think Vaibhav said it in his opening remarks, like our cost down efforts, we basically were offsetting the price cuts.
That's what I was going to say.
Goal. Like we're trying to give it back to the customers.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like for any given company, if you sell a great product at a great price, if you have a great product at a great price, the sales will be excellent.
Mm-hmm.
That's true of any arena. So over time, we do need to keep making sure that that it's a great product at a great price, and moreover, that price is accessible to people. So it's not, you have to solve both the value for money and the fundamental affordability question. The fundamental affordability question is sometimes overlooked. If somebody's earning several $100,000 a year, they don't think of a car from a fundamental affordability standpoint. But for the vast majority of people are living paycheck to paycheck. So it actually makes a difference if the cost per month for lease or financing is $10 one way or the other. So it is important to keep improving the affordability and to keep, it's just like making the price
more accessible.
Yeah, exactly. Make the price more accessible, the value for money better, and to keep improving that over time.
But also to make kick-ass cars that people want to buy.
Yeah, it's got to be a great product at a great price, and the standards for what constitutes a great product at a great price keep increasing. So there's like you can't just be static. You have to keep making the car better, improving the price of it, improving the cost of production. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and in fact, like I said in my opening remarks also, like the updated Model 3 is a fantastic car. I don't think people fully even understand the amount of engineering effort which has gone, and Lars and team have actually put out videos explaining how much the car is different when it looks and feels different. Not only it looks and feels different, we've added so much value to it, but you can lease it for like as low as $299 a month.
Yeah. Without gas.
Yeah.
All right. The next question comes from George from Canaccord. George, please go and unmute.
Hi. Thank you for taking my question. First, could you please help us understand maybe some of the timing of launching FSD in additional geographies, including maybe clarifying your recent comment about China? Thank you.
I mean, like new markets? Yeah, there are a bunch of markets where we don't currently sell cars that we should be selling cars in. We'll see some acceleration of that.
And FSD in new markets?
Yeah. So the thing about the end-to-end neural net based autonomy is that just like a human, it actually works pretty well without modification in almost any market. So we plan on, with the approval of the regulators, releasing it as a supervised autonomy system in any market where we can get regulatory approval for that, which we think includes China. So yeah, it's just like a human, you can go rent a car in a foreign country and you can drive pretty well. Obviously, if you live in that country, you'll drive better, and so we'll make the car drive better in these other countries with country-specific training. But it can drive quite well almost everywhere.
Yeah, the basics of driving are basically the same everywhere. Like, car is a car, traffic is a traffic light, road is the road.
Yeah, it understands that it shouldn't hit things no matter where it is.
Exactly. There are some road rules that you need to follow. In China, you shouldn't cross over a solid line to do a lane change. US is a recommendation, I think. China, you get fined heavily if you do that. We have to do some adaptations, but it's mostly smaller adaptations, not like an entire change of stack or something like that.
Yeah.
Hey, George, do you have a follow-up?
Yep. So my follow-up has to do with the first quarter deliveries, and I'm curious as to whether or not you feel that supply constraints that you mentioned throughout the release impacted the results, and maybe can you help us quantify that, and is that why you have some confidence in unit growth in 2024?
Yeah, I think we did cover this a little bit in the opening remarks too. Q1 had a lot of different things which were happening. Seasonality was a big one, continued pressure from the macroeconomic environment. We had attacks at our factory. We had Red Sea attacks. We're ramping Model 3. We're ramping Cybertruck. All these things are happening. I mean, it almost feels like a culmination of all those activities in a constrained period. And that gives us that confidence that, hey, we don't expect these things to recur.
Yeah, we think Q2 will be a lot better.
Yeah.
It's just one thing after another. Yeah. Our attacks are crazy.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, if you've got cars that are sitting on ships, they obviously cannot be delivered to people. And if you've got excess demand for Model 3 or Model Y in one market, but you don't have it there, it's an extremely complex logistics situation. And I'd say also we did overcomplicate the sales process, which we've just in the past week or so have greatly simplified. So it became far too complex to buy a Tesla, whereas it should just be you can buy the car in under a minute. So we're getting back to the you can buy a Tesla in under a minute interface from what was quite complex.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Colin Rush from Oppenheimer. Colin, go ahead and unmute, please.
Thanks so much, guys. Given the pursuit of Tesla really as the leader in AI for the physical world, and your comments around distributed inference, can you talk about what that approach is unlocking beyond what's happening in the vehicle right now?
So, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I can mention like the car, even when it's a full robotaxi, it's probably going to be used around 50 hours a week.
That's my guess, like a third of the hours of the week.
Yeah, it could be more or less, but then there's certainly going to be some hours left for charging and cleaning and maintenance. In that world, it can do a lot of other workloads. Even right now, we are seeing, for example, these LLM companies have this like batch workloads where they send a bunch of documents, and those are run through pretty large neural networks. And take a lot of compute to chunk through those workloads. And now that we have already paid for this compute in these cars, it might be wise to use them and not let them be idle, be like buying a lot of expensive machinery and letting them be idle. Like we don't want that. We'd want to use the compute as much as possible and close to like basically 100% of the time, make effective use of it.
That's why I think it's analogous to Amazon Web Services, where people didn't expect that AWS would be the most valuable part of Amazon when it started out as a bookstore. So that was on nobody's radar. But they found that they had excess compute because the compute needs would spike to extreme levels for brief periods of the year, and then they had idle compute for the rest of the year. So then what should they do with all that excess compute for the rest of the year? That's
monetize it.
Yeah, monetize it. So it seems like kind of a no-brainer to say, okay, if we've got millions and then tens of millions of vehicles out there where the computers are idle most of the time, that we might as well have them do something useful.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, I mean, if you get like to the 100 million vehicle level, which I think we will at some point get to, then, and you've got a kilowatt of usable compute, and maybe you're on hardware 6 or 7 by that time, then you really, I think you'd have on the order of 100 gigawatts of usable compute, which might be more than any company, probably more than any company.
Yeah, probably. Because it takes a lot of intelligence to drive the car anyway. And when it's not driving the car, you just put this intelligence to other uses, just solving scientific problems.
Just like a human.
Or answering dumb questions for someone else.
We've already learned a lot of deploying workloads to these compute nodes.
And unlike laptops and our cell phones, it is totally under Tesla's control. So it's easier to distribute the workload across different nodes as opposed to asking users for permission on their own cell phones would be very tedious.
Well, you just drain the battery on them.
Yeah, exactly. The battery is also limited.
So technically, I suppose Apple would have the most amount of distributed compute, but you can't use it because you can't get you can't just run the phone at full power and drain the battery.
Yep.
So whereas for the car, even if you're a kilowatt level inference computer, which is crazy power compared to a phone, if you've got a 50 or 60 kilowatt hour pack, it's still not a big deal to run.
If you're plugged in,
whether you're plugged in or not, you could be plugged in or not plugged in. You could run for 10 hours and use 10 kilowatt hours of your kilowatt of compute.
Forever.
Yeah.
Where you got a built-in liquid cooled thermal management.
Yeah, it's exactly
expense for data centers. So it's already there in the car.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's distributed power generation. It's just distributed access to power and distributed cooling, and it's already paid for.
Yeah, I mean that distributed power and cooling, people underestimate that costs a lot of money.
Really big deal.
It does.
Yeah, and the capex is shared by the entire world.
Yes.
Sort of everyone owns a small chunk, and they get a small profit out of it, maybe.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys. And just my follow-up is a little bit more mundane. Looking at the 4680 ramp, can you talk about how close you are to target yields and when you might start to accelerate incremental capacity expansions on that technology?
We're making good progress on that, but I don't think it's super important for at least the near term. As Laura said, we think it'll be, exceed the competitiveness of suppliers by the end of this year, and then we'll continue to improve it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to note also that the ramp right now is relevant to the Cybertruck ramp.
Yeah.
And so we're not going to just randomly build 4680s unless we have a place to put them. And so we're going to, make sure we're prudent about that. But we also have a lot of investments with all our cell suppliers and vendors. They're great partners, and they, done great development work with us. And a lot of the advancements in technology and chemistry we found in 4680, they're also putting into their cells.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of the 4680, or Tesla doing internal cells, was a hedge against what would happen with our suppliers. Because for a while there, it was very difficult because every big car maker put in massive battery orders. And so the price per kilowatt hour of lithium-ion batteries went to crazy numbers, to crazy levels.
Bonkers.
Yeah, just bonkers. So, okay, we've got to have some hedge here to deal with, cost per kilowatt hours numbers that would double what we anticipated. If we have an internal cell production, then we have that hedge against demand shocks, with too much demand. That's really the way to think about it. It's not like we want to take on a whole bunch of problems that just for the hell of it. We did the cell program in order to address the crazy increase in cost per kilowatt hour from our suppliers due to gigantic orders placed by every car maker on Earth. So,
okay, thank you. And the last question comes from Ben Kalo from Baird. Ben, go ahead and unmute. And you're still muted.
Well, I once again would just like to strongly recommend that anyone who is, thinking about the Tesla stock should really drive FSD 12.3. You can't it is impossible to understand the company if you do not do this.
All right. So since Ben is not unmuting, let's try Shreyas Patel from Wolf Research. Final question.
Oh, hey. Thanks so much. Just, Elon, during the Investor Day last year, you mentioned that auto COGS per unit for the next-gen vehicle would decline by 50% versus the current 3 and Y. I think that was implying something around $20,000 of COGS. About a third of that was coming from the unboxed manufacturing process. But I'm curious if you see an opportunity that some of the other drivers around powertrain cost reduction or material cost savings, would those be largely true to some of the new products that you're now talking about introducing?
Yeah, sure. I mean, in short, yes. I mean, like, the unboxed manufacturing method is certainly great and revolutionary, but with it comes some risk because, it's new production lines, not. But all the subsystems we developed, whether it was powertrains, drive units, battery improvements in manufacturing and automation, thermal systems, seating, the integration of interior components and reduction of LV controllers, all that's transferable, and that's what we're doing. Trying to get it into our products as fast as possible. And so that engineering work, we're not trying to just throw it away and put it, in a coffin. We're going to take it and utilize it to the best advantage of the cars we make and the future cars we make.
Okay, great. And then just on that topic of 4680 cells, I know you mentioned it. You really thought of it more as like a hedge against rising battery costs from other OEMs, but it seems even today it seems like you would have a cost advantage against some of those other automakers. And I'm wondering, given the rationalizing of your vehicle manufacturing plans that you're talking about now, if there's an opportunity to maybe convert the 4680 cells and maybe sell those to other automakers and really generate an additional revenue stream. I'm just curious if you have any thoughts about that.
Right. What seems to be happening is that unless I'm missing something, the orders for batteries from other automakers have declined dramatically. So we're seeing much more competitive prices for cells from our suppliers, dramatically more competitive than in the past. It is clear that a lot of our suppliers have excess capacity.
Yeah. In addition to what Elon said, this is Karan, by the way. In addition to what Elon said about 4680s, what 4680 did for us from a supply chain perspective was help us understand the supply chain that's upstream of our cell suppliers. So a lot of the deals that we had struck for 4680, we can also supply those materials to our partners, help reducing the overall cost back to Tesla. So we're basically inserting ourselves in the upstream supply chain by doing that. So that's also been beneficial in reducing the overall pricing in addition to the excess capacity that these suppliers have.
Yeah, now, I mean, this is going to wax and wane, obviously. So, there's going to be a boom and bust in battery cell production, where production exceeds supply, and then supply exceeds production, and back and forth, kind of like, I don't know, DRAM or something. So it's like what is true today will not be true in the future. There's going to be somewhat of a boom and bust cycle here. And then there are additional complications with government incentives, like the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, which I always found like a funny name for a
comical name.
Yeah, is it like the Irish Republican Army, the Internet Research Agency from Russia?
Independent retirement account?
Yeah, exactly. Roth IRA. It's like forced Spider-Man situation, which IRA wins. But it does complicate the incentive structure, so that there is perhaps there's stronger demand for cells that are produced in the U.S. than outside the U.S. But then how long does the IRA last? I don't know.
Which is why it's important that we have both in-house cells and vendor cells to hedge against all of this.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all the time we have today. But at the same time, I would like to make a short announcement. And I wanted to let the investment community know that about a month ago, I met up with Elon and Vaibhav and announced that I'll be moving on from the world of investor relations. I'll be hanging around for another couple of months or so feel free to reach out anytime. But after this 7-year sprint, I'm going to be taking a break and spending some good quality time with my family. And I wanted to say that these 7 years have been the greatest privilege of my professional life. I'll never forget the memories from, I started literally at the beginning of production hell and just watching the company from the inside to see what it's become today. And I'm especially super thankful to the people in this room and dozens of people outside of this room that I've worked for over the years. I think the team strength and teamwork at Tesla is unlike anything else I've seen in my career. Elon, thank you very much for this opportunity that I got back in 2017. Thank you for seeking investor feedback and regularly and debating it with me.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reason I reached out to you was because I thought your analysis of Tesla was the best that I'd seen.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you for helping Tesla get to where it is today over 7 years. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for all the thousands of shareholders that we've met over the years and walked around factories and loved all the interactions, even the tough ones. And yeah, looking forward to the call in the next 3 months, but I'll be on the other side listening in. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
There it was. Had an extra couple seconds that I didn't want from the music, but there it was. That's the Tesla earnings, all wrapped up. Well, quite interesting. Nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing crazy said by Elon this time. It was quite tamed back this time. Again, not too much new information. We've got a new lineup for the vehicles. Having a look at the stock price, we didn't get above that 160. I showed you this quick trade during the show. It seems like we didn't hit our stop loss, so the trade is still active. Doesn't mean you need to be shorting it, but just knowing that we're at sort of a resistance level. What do I expect if we go out to the daily time frame? The trend is still to the downside, so we can go as high as $190 and still make new lows and go to $126 in the shorter term. If we don't break that 160 level that we'll be showing today, then again we can come back down to maybe 120, something like that. So 160 is key. We are up 10% in the after hours, which is nice, probably because of this sort of new car lineup thing they've got going on, which they won't give too much information about. So if we break 160, then that's the resistance, and then we're probably off to 180. If we don't break 160, then don't be surprised to come back to those 150 lows. For me, the buy prices were 150, and the next buy price is 126. So I'd leave some money on the side to be buying Tesla at 126. And remember, I do have lower targets for Tesla as well, as low as $90.58 in case there's a bigger crash throughout the stock market. There's nothing wrong with having a little bit of money on the side to be buying great companies at very low prices if that opportunity ever presents itself. But again, 160, we break 160, 180, we don't manage to break 160 with this little trade that we've just been showing you during the live stream. Not sure where it's gone, but it's basically an entry at 161 to the downside. We're looking to take profits at maybe 150, 146. But that is basically it from me. Let's have a quick look at your comments. Oh, slight camera issues. I'm not sure what's going on. Definitely will be fixed for the next show. I'll be back on Thursday for another earnings. Great job as always, says Martyn. I have no idea what's going on to the side of my... Don't know why I've got a line there. Remember when Elon smoked on Joe Rogan's show? Yes, that sent the price of Tesla stock all the way down. Not very good. Great job as always. Thank you very much, Martyn. Sensei, thank you for your time. No worries at all. Thanks, Sensei.
Birds and people are living together in seemingly perfect
amazing
harmony, until one day a young man catches fire.
Thanks, Sensei. 11:40 p.m. in the UK. Yes, it is. We have been live for 2 hours and 11 minutes. And I didn't fall asleep, even though a few people, I'm not sure why, but they were saying that my eyes were closing. They were. I know you guys are joking around. Thank you for holding through, Sensei. Best Martyn Lucas channel. Thank you, Baz. Thank you very much, Baz. No, oh, there goes my camera. Thank you. James says Sensei with trophies. Here we go. My camera was all fine, and now when I'm ending the show, it's going weird again. Here we go. Let's see how Tesla's reacting. Still holding up quite well. It's at about 160. Let's have a quick look at end phase. End phase 107. How's it recovering? It's come up from those lows of $99. Martyn did say anything below 100 to buy, and we were at 99. We are now only down 5% in the after hours for end phase. And Tesla's at 160. Okay. Well, I think that's the end of the show. Thank you all for tuning in. We didn't get 100 likes, but we will try again on Thursday. Sensei, I would still watch if you fell asleep. James, you started all these rumours. It's all your fault. Until next time. Take care of your money, your crypto, and each other. See you on Thursday. Bye bye.